off the show today with a banger. Dear residents of the nation's capital, there is no such thing as indigent land in the FCT. So if you've built or rented a piece of land in the nation's capital and the seller or renter told you the land belongs to his ancestors, the Federal Capital Territory Administration wants you to know you are on your own. We will elaborate more on this during the program, and if this makes you uneasy, get ready. There's more this week on Dateline Abuja. Hello there, and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Kayla Megwa. Let us look at the issue the FCT administration has with natives, because the FCT does have many natives, mostly of the Gbagi heritage. Demolitions are a constant feature in the nation's capital, and this has caused ill blood between the natives and the FCT administration. The impasse comes from the claim that the natives have been compensated and resettled. The natives claim this is false and lay claim to these lands and the right to live or sell them to whomever they choose. Our feature story looks at the impasse between the natives and the FCT administration.
Standard.
The years that followed saw several residential and public buildings spring up around the city, especially in the area known as the Federal Capital City. However, on the fringes of the city, the natives reside in small communities. Over time, these communities have been demolished by authorities, leaving in their trail anger and rage.
Move!
On Saturday, August the 15th, 2020, residents of the Apo village were visited at dawn by officers of the Development Control Department.
They can't just come by 4 a.m. just to demolish everywhere and test us. We don't have access to park our properties. We don't have any means of surviving. Can the government live without the poor men? We are the ones that are making them to survive. Without us, they cannot survive. Then when it comes like this, for us to park our properties, they dispute us that we shouldn't park our things.
I was inside room early in the morning. And also, as in noise, before I would come out, house just fall on me. But I thank God I come out.
When we came out, we saw policemen have already surrounded the whole area. We were trying to ask questions, what is the problem? They couldn't give us any answer. All we could see is tear gas everywhere. After spraying tear gas, they started demolition. If you can see the whole of this area now, you see that everywhere has been brought down.
They take them unaware. They don't have any notice. They didn't give them notice. Nobody has the notice. Just they came here around 4 o'clock. And 4 tear gas all over the villages. And people that were victims, they find themselves on a very critical situation.
They started beating people. They beat women, not even men. The women came out, we were crying. They started beating women. 4 tear gas. We could not come out. Some of the people, their lots are in this thing you are seeing. They demolished everything. Some people are looking for their children. Some people are looking for their husbands, see properties, see millions of naira. This Nepal junction is more like a business area. People have wasted their money.
The village itself consists of around 80% commercial activities, because it's not a traditional baggy village, as we're aware. The village is now occupied by commercial people who are mainly traders, and they generate lots of waste. And those waste are deposited even on the median, on the road shoulder.
The residents of this community are low-income earners, engaged in artisanal jobs and small businesses. The people who live here are a mix of Abuja natives and other Nigerians who are simply eking out a living.
The total land mass here is not up to 2 hectares. We have already been surrounded by mansions. Look at big houses everywhere. The little community that they have here, I don't know, they should have afforded to sacrifice it. Because this is not funny. They are invoking the situation in the FCT. And I don't think it may go down well with anybody. I want to advise, as usual, that the government will sit up to their responsibility. The selfish people in the FCDA, they claim to have resettled some of the people in this community. But 50% of the people in this community are yet to have gotten their resettlement. No existing community should be removed. From now henceforth, we will no longer take it. I can tell you categorically, they should look for a way to modernize our community. They should look for a way to upgrade our communities. But no existing community that have been surrounded by mansions will longer move. Nobody will move.
We didn't go there we were there at 5:30. There is a road project ongoing now around that axis, starting from the Villa roundabout, going to Apple Mechanics and Wasa. So that place is on the corridor of that outer southern expressway. So now that development has come up there, and information available to us indicated that the people have been adequately resettled or compensated. So that's why we just moved in to remove the structures there so that the project can move on.
Another area that suffered a similar fate in recent times is the Paduma community, which borders Guzapi community. The villagers had built a market on this piece of land, but the authorities demolished the market.
We actually give this space for market, our local market. So I don't see reason why government will just come from nowhere. They want us to go to Asokoro shopping mall. It's not possible.
I have a shop here, and it's not only me. We are too many that the indigene empower us to help them, at least to be selling one thing or the other here. But to our greatest surprise, yesterday, on our way to us, they came in and marked everywhere. And by the grace of God, we say we are for peace. And this morning we now saw bulldozer. We are surprised. We don't know where to go to. That is why we are crying to the authority.
Actually, that part of the land where they call it a market has been allocated for the development of a secondary school, a private secondary school. So somebody actually owns that land. He has a title to it. It has been paid and processed for. And maybe because of lack of funds, development has not gone on. But then villagers went in and they started building what they call a market.
The natives are also claiming that the military is dispossessing them of their land. Last year, angry youth stopped the convoy of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, over the alleged takeover of their land by the military.
1,000 hectares of land in Giri, Edo Serki, Tonga Maje, down to Zuba to Day. Sir, there are more than 20 communities on this land. We have reported to the presidency. There was a committee set up headed by Abajari, 2016. They gave us good notice to leave. Just last week, sir, we pressed further with this issue to the National Assembly. There was a public investigative hearing last week.
Several times, the natives have taken up their grievances to the authorities, seeking for proper resettlement and compensation. But the FCDA insists that the policy is to resettle and compensate the natives before moving in to demolish the structures, which they say they have done.
The policy is to resettle all the settlements that are within the FCC, Federal Capital City, to the Federal Capital Territory, that is outside the city. So an average fall within those settlements that are supposed to go to Apo resettlement scheme. And on our resettlement scheme, we have Apo, Apajanya, and Garki Hausawa, and Garki Gwagi that are supposed to move to Apo. And we try to do it on phases. All the entitlement of this particular settlement, that's Apajanya, we have given them. For Apajanya, we give them 131 houses, and we give them 169 plots. This is their own entitlement we have given them. We have also given them plot for the cheap house. It's also available. Then we give them comprehensive development, commercial plot, all they are available, we have given them. So what it means for them to be moved to that. Most of them that are already there in Afo City, they settled in Afo. Only a few of them that they didn't move.
This is a community that has existed before the creation of Federal Capital Territory. By right, by Land Use Act, we have right to live here until what is expected to be done is done before we are relocated. But those things have not been satisfied. This private community, the reason why they are still here, their names that were omitted in the list that were not given houses, neither plots. Now, most recently, plots were given in twos for them to go and build, sell one and build one. Now, as we speak, those places, those plots were given, have no access. The place has not been cleared. Now, I wonder how that person can get access to take his materials to build such place before he moves to that area.
Political and community leaders of the FCT natives had a meeting with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory to find a way to resolve the issue. The leaders of the natives expressed their concern over the demolition.
If there is going to be this kind of demolition or this kind of action, I believe that the community leaders are here, and that's why I came with the community leaders. The area council chairman is here, that's why I came with him. That some form of sensitization, some form of reach out, and probably committees can be set up, including and involving the local government council, because the government is at the grassroots.
It's a very complex issue, yet very simple. In your opening statement, you have provided solutions. Dialogue and sensitization, community engagement of traditional, religious, indigenous communities, as well as the area council political leadership, and overall information dissemination. That's how it's supposed to be, and that's why leaders are there.
Whereas the natives are threatening that the situation could go out of hand, the FCT administration is asking their leaders to encourage them to relocate to the places that have been provided for them. As at the 2006 National Census, the FCT has a population of about 1.4 million people. According to the United Nations World Population Prospects, the population figure for the nation's capital is estimated at 3.3 million in 2020. The UN report is projecting the FCT population to hit 5.1 million by 2030. Thanks for staying with us. The Federal Capital Territory covers a total area of 7,315 kilometers square. And all that land belongs to the federal government. Only the Minister of the FCT has the right to allocate land in Abuja, according to the FCT administration. But we'll get to that later. My guest is Mr. Adamu Jibrin, the Director of Land Administration in the Federal Capital Development Authority. He oversees all the legality that pertains to land matters in the FCT. Malam Adamu, thank you so much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.
We are now the Federal Capital Territory. Now, are there parts of the Federal Capital Territory that belong solely to indigents?
No, you see, by the decree setting up Abuja, there is no rural land, no indigenous land in Abuja. All lands in Abuja is urban land. So you don't have indigenous land. And the urban land is to be governed by the president, commander-in-chief. He's the governor general in charge of all lands in Abuja.
That's interesting because we have a lot of people who claim, we were here before the place became the Federal Capital Territory and the land belongs to my ancestors, belongs to my father.
You see, by the decree setting up the Abuja, there is this law of comprehensive resettlement. As development gets to an area, all the natives are being moved. The natives or the indigenous, they call them, so they are being moved out. And most of, just like you have New Yanya, New Sabo along Kaduna Road, they have been moved, most of them, but there are pockets that have not been moved, which with relocation exercise, the resettlement exercise, certainly as development gets there, they will be moved. So each and any inch of land in Abuja is to be governed by the president, and you know that power was delegated to the Honorable Minister of FCT.
That could be the reason why there's still some sort of disagreements, because a lot of people who have, you just admitted now that there are settlers, there are indigents rather, who have not been moved. Yes. So talk to us a bit about those places that we've not been able to move the indigents to other settlements.
It's a matter of policy, which is a resettlement policy, and I know there are a lot of resettlement houses that have been built for them. So it's just the process, maybe that was not concluded. So I don't think there's any disagreement, really.
Well, there have been. Some years ago, there was a particular situation along one of the areas on the way to the airport where the indigents had built a market, and the market was encroaching into the highway. And at the time, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing at the time was not very happy with these indigents, and they had decided that they were going to demolish the market. And of course, they have associations. They were doing press releases, they were doing press conferences complaining about the FCDA trying to take away their inheritance.
You see, Abuja is a planned city. It's a planned city guided by the master plan. So you cannot just put anything anywhere you like. No, certainly no. That area or that land in question is not designated as a market, certainly. So we don't allow them to just put the market there. So it's wrong.
Now, following that demolition that happened in Napo recently, the natives are threatening to pick up arms. Is there any kind of resolution that can be reached on this matter? Because they're saying that, look, we are supposed to be compensated.
Certainly, there will be resolution on the matter. But I will advise you to refer this question to our sister department, the Department of Resettlement and Compensation. I think they're in a better position to handle the question. But I know they are doing something about it, or they have done something about it.
Let's talk a bit about land processing in the FCT. What are some of the processes that have to be observed before you can say, this is my piece of land and I can start to develop it?
You see, we have a procedure, right, for allocation of land. It starts from the application. You have to apply. Pick the form. The requirements are stated on the form. It's 100,000 naira you make payment at the bank and other prerequisites which has been stated on the form. After completing the form, you pick the form here in Aegis, the Department of Land Administration. That's the office in charge of anything land administration in the FCT. You pick the form after the payment with all the prerequisites, you submit it to us, we issue the receipt, we open a file for you. A file containing the file number, the purpose which the application is being made, the state of origin, you understand, the date and all the data. It's captured in the database. As it's captured, then depending on availability of plots, which will be laid out by urban and regional planning, we link those applications to plots, then pass it through our land use allocation committee, who will look at the applications based on first come, first served basis and some other merits with capacity to develop and some other requirement, prerequisite. Then it will be passed to the minister, who has the right to allocate land in Abuja. Everywhere, the 8,000 square kilometers, it's only the minister that can allocate that land. So we now pass it to him, he gives approval. Then we now issue the letter of offer to an applicant who turns to be an allotee now. So in a nutshell, that is the procedure of allocating land.
So just to be clear,
people shouldn't patronize.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that. So just to be clear, when we have some people who claim that they are indigents of the FCT, and they say, oh, this land is my father's land, it belongs to
land. No, this is FCT.
We are selling it at a particular...
They don't have that right. People should know. No indigenous land. This is FCT. This is Federal Capital Territory.
It's very shocking that this information hasn't been out there for a while, because there's so many people.
The public should know.
You know, there are many places in the FCT that the buildings are rickety, and they always tell you, oh, I bought this land 500,000.
Certainly not FCT. They are on their own, really. Anytime development control comes, they'll just bulldoze. So I think it's good for the public to be enlightened, to know that, yes, within FCT, there are procedures of allocation of land, and it's only the minister that can allocate such lands.
This applies to places like Abaji.
Everywhere in FCT. Everywhere.
You know, all those places.
Kwali, Abaji, Kuje, Buhari. Yes, this is FCT.
I don't know. I'm smiling because you know why I'm smiling.
Why?
Because all those places, you know, have a lot of buildings that were not allocated by ages. You know, a lot of those buildings.
That was then.
Massive settlements of people who have been living there for a while, and they say, oh, we bought this off of some guy who said his father owns.
No. It's wrong.
So this applies to people who are looking for land in Abaji, Kwali, Kuje, all those places.
In FCT.
All right.
Yes.
All right, so that's good information for the people who are trying to get land. So let's talk about Lokogoma now, for instance.
Yes.
So talk to us about where do things stand right now with Lokogoma.
You see, for now, development control are doing a lot of work there, both development control and engineering, to remove some of the encroachments.
Okay, so the encroachments
allow the road, to allow the
drainages and the roads.
Yes.
Okay, so apart from that, what else is being done about that area? Because so many people live there.
No, like it is, as it is now also.
It's not possible to say we're going to demolish.
No. It's a damage control procedure that we are doing, right? We are going to issue titles, certainly to the beneficiaries of those estates, right? But they will come through their developers, because that is the terms that we have. As we do that, we look at the layout and see what can we accommodate, right? If it's not a major distortion that will create problem, you understand, then the necessary technical department will look at it, if that can be accommodated, than to say, okay, demolish everything. That's Lokogoma in particular. So that is an ongoing process which we are working on. It's an interdepartmental committee, you know, involving all the technical departments. Yes.
So are there other parts of the FCT that people should be, you know, people who are living there right now should probably be thinking about going through the processes?
All the estates, you understand?
Every estate?
All estates. If whatever beneficiary want to engage with a developer, they should show them the title, evidence of ownership of that particular land. Show them evidence of development control approval of that particular building. At the same time, they must make sure that all the services have been provided before you now engage yourself with any developer or before buying any house.
Thank you so much, Malam Adamu, for speaking with us.
It's my pleasure as well.
Well, that was a lot of information. And it's important for anyone planning to buy land in the FCT to be aware of these problems and stay guided on the right path. Do you own land in the FCT? Tell us your experience, whether good or bad. Do you still have unanswered questions in your quest to be a landowner? Let us know using the email address and Twitter handle on your screen. And as always, feel free to watch any episode of the program on YouTube. And please share with us the happenings in your locality. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you next time.